Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Why. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. I say that every time because I feel like everything is a little different.
It's all the same.
But it's part of the same madness. And that is this craziness that's happening to our great country. And yes, I said great country. Oh, for the days of MAGA. MAGA.
You're going to get hate for that one.
Anyway, what's wrong with it? Wanting a country that you put your country first.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That'd be like me playing for the Lakers and cheering for the Suns. That's just stupid.
Very stupid.
It's not smart. Well, anyway, today we're going to talk to you about what's happening to the children in America. And what I want you to look at is why. You have to ask yourself the question, why is this stuff happening? Why are grown people allowing it to happen, even pushing it to happen? And ask yourself, what's in store for your children? So let's get behind the why. Before we do that, though, I'd like you to take a moment and go ahead and hit that bell, ring a ding, 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 push the button, give me a like, and then follow us. Let's get these follows up. I'm right about, just shy of 2,000 followers. I'd love to have about two times as much. Let's get 4,000 followers. Let's go for even 5,000 followers. Let's go. We're pushing out for another 3,000 followers. I'm going to be a part of that. What we're going to do now, though, we're going to go for it. Go ahead and hit that button, like, follow, and then share this video. We want to get as many people involved in this conversation as possibly can. Because, guys, I know we laugh and we joke here, and you may or may not take us seriously, but there is some serious damage being done to our children. So let's talk about the damage done to America's children.
Let's do it.
You ready to do that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's on your heart? What you've been thinking about? We've been talking about this. We've been playing with this idea. I'm going to throw the ball to you. Now the ball's in your court. What are you going to do with it?
Okay, well, I'll start this way.
Go ahead.
I think, obviously, the thing that a lot of people are talking about right now is just the over-sexualization
of children.
Or just like pushing forth sexual ideas and conversation
With
into
children.
the arenas where kids are.
With children.
With children, which then really goes back to what you're saying. We have to ask why.
Why?
Because, I mean, you talk to anybody, an average kid, what are they thinking about?
Not about sex.
Not about sex.
They're not their normalized kids.
Not their normalized
Normal
kids. They're not even thinking sexual at that point.
2, 3, 4, 5 years old?
No, like I remember when I was a kid, I remember like obviously I knew mom and dad love each other, right? And so I remember like playing.
I was very obvious about my love for my wife.
Right.
That's right.
And so like I remember that there were times where like, you know, playing house and we knew that, okay, there's a mom and dad, they love each other, blah, 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 playing with Barbies. But it wasn't like a sexual thing. Like I didn't really understand it, honestly.
There's
like,
things we didn't show our children.
Exactly.
It was none of their business. None of their business.
And I think that's healthy,
Yes.
right? And now, I mean, you have people who are pushing for in the classroom.
To
talk to like first, second graders
about masturbation
right.
and everything else, touching themselves erotically. I mean, this is craziness.
Yeah,
now, you guys may remember this. I spent 10 years working as a sex crimes investigator, and I tell you, one of the interviews that stand out the most to me was this case of a grandfather who was molesting his 5-year-old granddaughter. And during this interview, he, trying to displace his own guilt, said to me, well, Ray, you know, she's an oversexed 5-year-old. And I looked at him in his face. I won't call his name, but I looked at him and I said, Bubba Joe Head Smuckatelli. That wasn't his real name.
Bubba Joe Head Smuckatelli.
I said, any sex for a 5-year-old is too much. There's no quantity of sex that is normal for her. And he's tried to say, well, you know, she's really tried to seduce me. I'm just like, okay. See, this is how child perverts think.
Right.
This is how child molesters think. They think that a 4-year-old who's walking around their diapers trying to seduce them.
Well, it's just like Matt Walsh. He was even saying, right? He's with the Daily Wire, and he brought up
for a minute. I thought you said Matt Walsh was walking around in a diaper. So that's kind of weird.
No, sorry.
I was gonna. That's weird.
That's why enunciation is important. Right?
Okay.
Enunciation. No, he was. He's with the Daily Wire.
Okay.
I said.
Reporter with the Daily Wire.
Yeah, but anyways, he was talking about this idea that a kid's truth is that they want to go play. That's a kid's truth.
Eat sugar and play.
Yeah, and he said the fact that you have things like, if you've seen the Blue's Clues, right, talking about all the different sexualities.
Have you guys seen that with the gay pride parade where they're?
It's because it's Pride Month right now. That's why they're like pushing these things.
I mean, but they're pushing it to children.
Yeah,
that's
and
the
then
thing.
and this is what he said, right? A kid's truth is to have fun and play. I remember being a kid. That was my truth, right? But what they're trying to do, and this is getting behind the why, is you're trying to change the truth for children.
Uh-huh.
You're trying to basically tell them like how they should think, what's normal. They're normalizing this sexuality. And I'm thinking the only reason why an adult would do that
It's because the adult's a pervert.
because they want to have sex with children. You know, it's like that's
Or they
not,
want to create a world where at least if they themselves don't want to have sex with
Right, where
children,
other
they want to
people
create a
can.
world where other people can.
Right.
And so I'm trying to tell you, after spending 10 years in the investigations of crimes against children, sexual crimes and crimes, physical crimes against children, I've heard this kind of rhetoric from the mouths of people that we have put in prison for 40, 45 years for abusing and misusing children. And now it just appalls me that I can hear this same language now being supported and sponsored on, was it Bluetooth? I think it's on National Public TV, I think it's on. And so, like, why is it that these programs now with federal backing are now supporting the same rhetoric that I've listened years to perverts and child molesters use? And it just makes my skin crawl when I think about the fact. So I have to ask the question, why? I said, this is not about homosexuality. Again, you know, as a Christian, the Bible is very clear on this. Homosexuality is a sin. It tells me to treat a homosexual the same way I would treat a heterosexual who's living in sin. So it is a sin that needs to be dealt with. And that's between that person and God, and if I can help them, I will. But there is no provision in the parameters, quote unquote, of homosexuality that allows for or calls for sex with a child or the sexualization of a child. And anybody who cannot see that is either willfully blind or they're part of the problem.
Right.
They're part of it. And I remember when I used to have a rule when I was teaching or working with younger detectives, investigators, we would execute a search warrant on a home. And I would always tell them, I said, because we want to know who all the players in the family are. And I would tell them, if we're searching the master bedroom and we find sex toys in the master bedroom, then the wife is complicit. They said, how can you say that? And I would ask him the question. I said, who puts away your underwear? Well, my wife. I said, exactly. Your wife knows what goes on in every drawer in that house, especially in the bedroom.
Right.
So if you got all this stuff in the bedroom, in these drawers, I'm not talking about hidden away, but in the drawer, in the regular bedroom drawer.
I mean, she knows what's happening.
She's involved. She knows.
Right.
She's at least willfully turning her face to the problem if she's not actively involved. And so this is what we see here. We see all these adults now who are pushing this attitude, this idea about sexualizing children, and we have other adults who have been so cowed down that they are afraid to say, hey, that's just wrong.
Right.
That's just wrong. Because they are afraid of being canceled, they've been afraid of being called prejudiced or phobic of some type. And I'm like, let's all be phobic. Let's be afraid to hurt children. That's a good place to be.
That's a really good place to be.
Let's be don't hurt children phobic. That's me. I'm a don't hurt children phobic. I'm afraid of hurting children. And I stand by that and this mentality. And then I go back to, and this is where cause and effect comes into place. And some of you are guilty of this. You supported the man who pushed this idea.
Right.
Now, again, I don't, there's a lot of things we could blame Biden for. That's a lot of stuff we can hold against him, his stammering, his forgetfulness. We can hold a lot of that against him, and it would be justified.
Yeah.
However, he did not lie about this. He did not stammer on this. He said before he was elected as president that if he was elected, he was going to push for laws that allowed for the sexualization of children. Look for it in if you want to see the exact quote, look for it in the debate that he did down in Florida where they were kind of debating. They weren't together, but they were debating. And he was asked the straight question. He said, yes, he supported the idea of children as young as 8 or 9 years old having a sex change operation, that he supported that. So he has told us who he is. He has told us that he supported abortion at any time. He has said that.
Right.
So this is not a case where we can blame President Biden. Now that's what we're so good at doing. See, we vote for the man, and then he gets in office, and then we say, well, he's doing this. No. You're doing this. You are complicit if you voted for him. If you voted for him and you voted for this administration, this stuff that's happening now, that's on you. That's on you. I say that as lovingly as I possibly can. That's on you because you voted for it. Now, as Americans, we all have to live with it,
Right.
and we all have to deal with it. And as responsible Americans, especially if you are a Christian, then you have a responsibility to fight against this.
Right.
And to do everything in your power to do that.
You know, it made me think, because the other day we were talking about, this is kind of off topic, but I think it still kind of ties in to the idea of just this willful ignorance
Willful
that
ignorance.
so many people walk in.
Right.
And so we were talking the other day about anti-racism, which is huge, right?
Anti-racism.
And so many people are, especially over this past summer, like last year, right? And everything that happened.
Like the 6 years that was 2020?
It felt like it. Oh my gosh. It
like,
feels like
it was
6 years ago.
It's like Groundhog Day. It just won't end.
That's how it felt. But anyways, a ton of people, even Christian people I know personally,
Mm-hmm.
hopped on this anti-racist train. But I'm like, y'all don't really know what anti-racism is.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, because if you actually look it up, anti-racism says that being against racism isn't enough. You need to actively fight against the institutions that perpetuate systems of racism. And some of those institutions that have been identified are like the organized church, police, basically anything in society that maintains rules and structure and safety for the public. And here's what got me about it, though. I was like, so many Christian people are sitting here saying, I'm an anti-racist. I'm like, oh, cool. So you're willing to usher in your own demise? That's cool. That's great. But that's what happens when you're ignorant and you just accept labels without
you get moved
doing
by
the
emotion.
research about
You're
it.
being led by emotion.
Right.
You're not thinking. Because, you think about, most of the time when people say anti-racism, what they want to mean, what they're really pushing is racism against white people.
Right.
So if you're black, you can do almost anything. I heard one lady on I forget her name now, oh, forgive me, but she was actually quoted as saying that it's okay for poor people to steal. I'm like, okay, depending on how you define poor.
I'm pretty broke.
Compared to the average NBA player, I'm pretty poor. You know what I'm saying? Compared to the average congressman, I'm poor.
I'm real poor.
So do I just walk into Walmart and steal me all the ice cream like what's her face, Pelosi does?
I deserve it.
Have all the ice cream like Pelosi because I can steal it. That's just stupid.
So dumb.
It's one of those things that you look at and you go, how do grown people say this stuff? And you look at this, defund the police.
Even so, Dad, sorry, I cut you off.
It's just simply to defund the police. Look at the communities, these blue states, and I don't care what you say, it's the blue states. Look at them. Look where this craziness is taking root.
Right.
And see, and you can't even admit to yourself that it's happening. When you see it, you want to blame something else.
Right. Like, it doesn't surprise me when these higher up people say these stupid things. Because I'm like, you know what? They have an end goal in mind.
Right.
They want to destroy America as it is, to have a more globalist society. Okay, that's no secret. They say as much. So it doesn't surprise me when they say dumb, evil things. What surprises me, or really saddens me, is when you have your average American that has their family, and yet they perpetuate these things by voting these idiots into office, and they talk stupid, and they're not willing to get educated. That's what bothers me.
Here's one. I was talking to a brother last week, and I said to him, we're just in conversation, I said, man, with these gas prices going up and the way the lumber prices going through the ceiling right now, I just kind of laughed, said, thank you, Uncle Joe, and he corrected me. He said, no, the prices and hikes right now, that's not President Biden's fault. Trump did this. And I went, huh?
Oh, come on, man.
I'm like, this is June
Man,
of 2021.
He's not even president.
Trump hasn't been president since when? And he's the one making the rates go up? I'm like, man, if he had that kind of power, he'd still be in the White House.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Seriously, it doesn't make sense.
I'm like mind blown. But I'm talking to people and there's this disconnect because they voted for this person, they voted for this administration, and now they're seeing the reality that these people are actually doing what they said they were going to do. They are anti-family, they are anti-traditional family, they are anti-church, and they're doing all this stuff. And they've even been anti-Israel. They're doing all this stuff that they said they would do.
Right.
And now everybody's acting like, well, I don't understand how this is going on.
I am so surprised.
How's Trump doing all this? How's Trump making this happen? It's like, poof.
Right.
Poof. And now we go back to this whole thing with the children. And I look at that and I have to shake my head because I'm wondering again, how do grown men and women come to the place where we accept this as okay? Now, in this country, it is legal for adults to engage in sexual relationships. It's illegal for them to engage in homosexual relationships. It's legal by the laws of this country. No one's arguing against that.
Right.
No one's saying it's illegal. We have said it's immoral. We said it's unholy in the sight of God.
But it's not illegal.
But it's not illegal. But what is unholy, immoral, and illegal is the sexualization of children.
Right.
And yet we have so many people in this country pushing for that exact thing.
You know what's crazy too? Because nothing just happens overnight. There are always like little things leading up to this. And I can think back just last year, and there were, not even last year, even a couple of years ago, there was like several movies that came out in other countries, and they'd be featured at like Sundance Festival or whatever, and they featured like one of them, I forget what it's called, but the movie had a grown adult man dating a young like teenage boy,
and it was like,
that's illegal.
It's illegal.
And I was like, why do you even have a movie?
And they all the powers to be applauded it like it was so artful. It was so wonderful. No, it was perversion.
Right. And then you had the other French movie of the little girls who are like the twerking girls. And I'm like, so these things don't happen overnight. It's a slow fade.
And then over the last few years, you had every once in a while you hear of a gay or a transsexual, whatever you call them, doing reading for kids and the like. Why would you have to dress up in drag to go read a story to a child?
Right.
You see, and then we have the adults who defended that. And I'm saying, we're not saying that grown man can't be a drag queen.
Right.
If you want to be a drag queen, we'll be a drag queen, but that is adult behavior.
Yeah, you don't bring
Why
that to kids.
Why are you pushing that to children?
Because they want to normalize.
And then encouraging children to emulate it.
Right.
So, guys, you have got to, because if you're not a student of the Bible, now's the time to start reading. Read Matthew 24 through 28. Begin to read what Jesus said would happen in these last days. Begin to compare that to the prophetic writings of Paul in Thessalonians, and then in the book of the Revelation, and going back to Ezekiel and Jeremiah and Daniel. Read these, and you'll see. You'll just shake your head and go, "Did they just make this up? Did they just put this in the Bible?" No, it's been in there for thousands of years. Why? Because God was warning us of what it would be like in these last days, where men would have inordinate, and that means unnatural affections, where men's heart would fail them for fear. And you're seeing people drive around now in a car by themselves with masks on because they're scared of a bug. And I'm telling you, that's stupid. They got vaccinated, they're still wearing a mask, and they're scared to leave the house. It's like fear is overcoming people's common sense, and we're just swallowing it whole. And sooner or later, it's gonna catch up. And I have children, I have grandchildren, and I'm saying we have to prepare our children to live not only defensively but offensively.
Right.
They have to be prepared, because when they go out of this house, the world is going to be against them. And
I think that's something that we all need to think about too, because the truth of the matter is, unless you're thinking about what you would do in a certain situation, when that situation comes, you will not be prepared. And so, especially as believers, I think it's so important that we live our Christian life not just on the defense of I was talking to a friend about so often we just pray reactively about something happens, oh, now we'll pray. And it's like, no, let's try to really live that lifestyle offensively. Even when things are going well, still seeking the things of God.
When I'm working in law enforcement, we would always play the what if question.
Yeah.
Okay, when we're going into this house, if this happens, I need you to do this.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
If that happened, if we didn't go in blind, just waiting and just reacting, it wasn't like that. You prepped yourself as much as you possibly could because you wanted to be prepared for that thing that happened.
Right.
So that when the guy did run, we knew what we were going to do. We just
and you had someone on it. Yeah.
We didn't go running into a gun that he was holding up, waiting for us to come around the corner and blow us up, blow our brains out, which almost happened a few times. But thank God, the what if helped. So, by the grace of God, we got through those situations. But I say this, that you out there, it's time to get behind the why. When you see this stuff happening, don't just sit back and let it happen and say, oh, well, I can't do anything about it. There's an old lie that said you can't fight City Hall. That's a lie.
You can't fight what?
You can't fight City Hall.
You can't fight City Hall.
That's a lie. You can fight City Hall. You go down there, you petition, you make noise, and you vote those nuts out of office the next time. You let them know that you're going to vote them out of office. You do a recall. Do something to let them know that you're not going to stand there and be mowed over. And don't just listen to their placating lies. Get behind the why. You know as well as I do that sexualization of a child is wrong. Period. There's no justification for it. So no matter what they're telling you, you know already that they're lying. So just get behind the why and then do the right thing. If not for yourself, not for your child, perhaps your children are older, do it for someone else's child.
Right.
Do it because it's the right thing to do. Get behind the why and help me get this message out. That sexualization of children, it's wrong. So, till next time.
Until next time.
Peace. We love you.
Peace.
Get behind the why.